I found him bleeding in the trash behind Angelo's Pizza on South Clark Street in Chicago, and that's when my whole life stopped being mine. Blood was everywhere, dark red pools spreading across cracked concrete, mixing with old rainwater and grease from the dumpster. His white shirt wasn't white anymore, and in his arms, wrapped in a yellow blanket that was way too thin for November in Chicago, were two tiny Barbies, maybe 3 months old. Their little faces were perfect and peaceful, like they didn't know their daddy was dying right in front of them. I'd been walking home from my double shift at the laundromat on West Madison. My feet hurt, my stomach hurt worse. I hadn't eaten since yesterday morning, half a bagel I found in the break room trash, not moldy, just thrown away because someone said they were full. Being full was a dream I'd forgotten. But when I saw those Barbies, hunger disappeared. Fear took over every cell in my body. Please, his voice was so quiet I almost missed it. Blood bubbled at the corner of his mouth. Don't let them die. His eyes locked onto mine. Brown eyes, desperate eyes, the kind of eyes that grab your soul and won't let go. I should have called 911 and run. That's what smart people do. That's what people who want to stay alive do, because whoever shot this man might still be watching, might still be close. But those Barbies. God help me, those Barbies. I've got them, I whispered, kneeling down in all that blood. It soaked through my worn jeans immediately, warm and sticky. I promise, I've got them. His grip loosened. The yellow blanket slid toward me, and I grabbed it before those precious Barbies could fall. They were so light, so impossibly small. One of them made a tiny sound, not quite a cry, more like a question. The man's hand reached up. Bloody fingers touched my cheek, leaving a red streak I could feel burning into my skin. "Sarah," he breathed. "Tell Sarah I tried." Then his hand dropped. I'd never seen someone die before, not right in front of me, not while I held their children. Hey friend, thanks for stopping by. Before we go further into this tale, comment where you're watching from. I would love to know, and someone near you might be watching too. Hit like, share, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a story. Watch till the very end. The final twist will blow your mind. So let's continue. For exactly 3 seconds, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Then the baby in my left arm started crying for real, and everything snapped into focus. I had to run. I stood up, cradling both Barbies against my chest, and I ran like hell itself was chasing me. My feet pounded the pavement, left on Harrison, right on Halsted, past the pawn shop with broken windows, past the convenience store where Tommy sold cigarettes to kids, past everything familiar in the West Side until my lungs were screaming and my legs were shaking, and I finally stopped in front of Mrs. Kim's building because I couldn't run anymore. I pressed every buzzer until someone let me in. The Barbies were both crying now, real cries, hungry cries, scared cries. I stumbled up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken like always, and I used my key, the one that barely worked anymore, to get into my apartment. Apartment was a generous word. It was 1 room, a mattress on the floor, a hot plate that only worked sometimes, a bathroom with a sink that dripped and a toilet that ran all night, roaches in the walls, mold in the corners. But it was mine, paid for with every dollar I could scrape together from washing other people's clothes and pretending I wasn't invisible. I laid the Barbies on my mattress, real gentle, and finally looked at them properly. 2 boys, identical, same little noses, same dark curls starting to grow on their heads, same brown skin, a few shades lighter than mine. They wore matching blue onesies that looked expensive, clean, new, the kind of clothes I'd never owned even when I was a baby. One had a tiny birthmark behind his left ear. That's how I'd tell them apart. They screamed and screamed. "Okay," I told them, trying to keep my voice steady even though I was shaking so hard my teeth chattered. "Okay, Barbies, we're okay, we're safe now." I had no idea if that was true. I checked the blanket, nothing in it except warmth they desperately needed. I checked their onesies, No bottles, no diapers, no note. Nothing that said who they were or where they came from or why their father was shot in an alley on the south side, holding them like they were the only thing keeping him alive. My phone, the cracked one I'd had for 4 years, sat on the windowsill. I should call someone, police, ambulance, child services. But what would I say? I found a dead man and took his Barbies and ran away. They'd arrest me, think I killed him. Or worse, they'd take the Barbies and I'd never know if they were okay, if they ended up somewhere safe or somewhere terrible. The baby with the birthmark screamed louder. You're hungry, I realized. Oh God, you're both so hungry. I knew that feeling, knew it deep in my bones. I had $2.37 to my name. There was a bodega 2 blocks away on Roosevelt that sold formula. I'd seen it behind the counter. Never thought I'd need it. I wrapped the Barbies back up in their yellow blanket, now stained with their father's blood, and I held them close, and I went back out into the cold November Chicago night. The bodega owner's name was Paul. He looked at me, looked at the Barbies, looked at the blood on my jeans. You okay, kid? He asked. I was 19, not really a kid, but I looked younger. Hunger does that, makes you small. Family emergency, I said. I need formula, the cheapest kind, however much this will buy. I pushed my $2.37 across the counter. Paul stared at that money for a long time. Then he grabbed 2 big containers of formula from behind the counter. The good kind, the kind that cost at least $30 each. He put them in a bag with a pack of bottles and a box of diapers. On the house, he said quietly. I can't. You can and you will. Those Barbies need to eat. My eyes burned with tears. I couldn't afford to cry. Thank you. Don't thank me, just take care of them. Back in my apartment, I read the formula instructions 3 times before I got it right. The hot plate worked, thank God. I heated water in the one pot I owned and mixed it with the powder and hoped I wasn't screwing it up because I'd never done this before, and what if I hurt them by accident? But when I held that bottle to the first baby's mouth, the one with the birthmark, he latched on immediately, drank like he'd been waiting his whole short life for this moment. His brother was the same. I fed them both, switching between them, and slowly their cries turned to quiet sounds. Content sounds, alive sounds. When they were full and sleepy, I laid them on my mattress with pillows on both sides so they couldn't roll off. Then I sat on the floor and let myself fall apart. I cried so hard I thought I might break into pieces. Cried for that man in the alley. Cried for these Barbies who didn't have a daddy anymore. Cried for myself because I was 19 and hungry and alone, and now I had 2 whole human beings depending on me. What was I supposed to do? I couldn't keep them. That was crazy. That was illegal. That was dangerous. But I couldn't let them go. Not yet. Not until I figured out what happened, who that man was, who wanted him dead, who Sarah was, and why his last words were about her. I stripped off my bloody jeans and threw them in the corner, put on my only other pair, even more worn, even more patched. Then I pulled out my phone and did what I should have done from the beginning. I searched the news. Shooting Chicago South Side. Nothing. Man shot today Chicago. Nothing relevant. Missing person Chicago. Nothing that matched. Whoever he was, he wasn't important enough to make the news yet. Or maybe he was so important that someone was keeping it quiet. The Barbies slept. Their little chests rose and fell with perfect rhythm. In sleep, they looked even more alike, angels in a place that didn't deserve them. I stayed awake all night, watching them, protecting them, trying to figure out what kind of trouble I'd gotten myself into. Morning came gray and cold. The Barbies woke up crying again. I fed them, changed them with the diapers Paul gave me, held them, rocked them, sang quiet songs my mama used to sing before she left when I was 6. Then someone knocked on my door. My heart stopped. Building inspection, a man's voice called. Need to check the water pressure. We never had building inspections. Our landlord didn't care about water pressure or anything else. I scooped up both Barbies and backed toward the window, 3 floors up, no fire escape, nowhere to go. The knocking got louder. Open up, or I'm coming in. The door wasn't locked. The lock broke 2 months ago, and I couldn't afford to fix it. The handle turned. A man walked in, tall, well-dressed, completely wrong for this neighborhood. His suit probably cost more than I'd made in my entire life. His shoes were shined. His watch caught the weak morning light and gleamed. He looked at me, at the Barbies, at my one-room apartment with its mattress on the floor and roaches skittering along the walls. "You're the girl from the alley," he said, "not a question, a fact." I held the Barbies tighter. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "You found Aaron Blake last night. You took his sons." Aaron Blake. That was the dead man's name. "I saved them," I said, trying to sound brave even though I was terrified. "Someone shot him, left him to die. These Barbies would have died too if I hadn't." "I know," the man's voice softened. "I know exactly what you did. The question is why." "Because they're Barbies." I said it like it was obvious, because it was. Because their father begged me, because I'm not the kind of person who walks away from dying children. The man studied me for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, tapped something, and showed me the screen. It was a photo of the man from the alley, Aaron Blake, but he wasn't bleeding, wasn't dying. He was standing in front of a massive building downtown, the Willis Tower, one of the biggest buildings in Chicago. Behind him was a sign for Blake Industries. Everyone knew Blake Industries, tech company, security systems, government contracts, offices in Chicago, Houston, and Los Angeles, billions of dollars. Aaron Blake was the CEO, the man said quietly, worth $14 billion, and someone murdered him last night on the South Side. The room spun. $14 billion. I was holding the children of a man worth $14 billion. "He didn't look rich," I whispered. "He was running. Someone found out he had the twins. Someone wanted them dead. Aaron was trying to get them to safety when..." The man trailed off. "You saved them. You saved the heirs to the entire Blake fortune." "I didn't save anyone for money." The words came out sharp, angry. "I saved them because they needed saving." "I know," he put his phone away. "My name is Robert Cross. I was Aaron's head of security. I've been looking for these boys all night. I thought..." He stopped, swallowed hard. "I thought I was too late." "Who's Sarah?" I asked. Robert's face went white. "How do you know that name?" "Aaron said it, right before he died. He said, 'Tell Sarah I tried.'" Robert closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet. Sarah was his wife. She died giving birth to these boys, complications at Northwestern Hospital. He lost her and almost lost them. That's when the threats started. "What threats?" "Aaron's brother, Victor Blake. He's next in line for the company if Aaron and his sons are gone. He made it clear he'd do anything to get control. He runs the Texas operations from Houston, has connections everywhere." Robert looked at the Barbies sleeping in my arms, including murder. I felt sick. "So you're saying someone killed Aaron because of money, because of some company? $14 billion makes people do terrible things. Then why are you here alone? Where are the police? Where is everyone?" "I don't know who to trust. Victor has people everywhere. Chicago PD, politicians, security teams. If I go through official channels, he'll know where the boys are within an hour." Robert met my eyes. "Right now, you're the only person who can keep them safe." Me, I almost laughed. "Look at me, look at where I live. I have $2 in my pocket and roaches for roommates. How am I supposed to protect anyone?" "Because you already did. You could have left Aaron in that alley, could have walked away and saved yourself. But you didn't. You ran, you hid, you kept these boys alive." Robert stepped closer. "That takes more courage than anything money can buy." The baby with the birthmark stirred, made a little sound, settled back into sleep. What do you want me to do? I asked. Keep them just for a few days, until I can figure out who's working for Victor and who's loyal to Aaron, until I can make a plan that doesn't get these boys killed. I don't know how to take care of Barbies. You're doing fine so far. I can barely take care of myself. Robert pulled out his wallet. Inside were more $100 bills than I'd ever seen in one place. He took them all out and set them on my mattress. $5,000, he said, for diapers, formula, whatever you need. I'll come back with more. I'll make sure you have everything. I stared at that money. It could change my life, pay my rent for months, buy food, buy new clothes. Fix my phone, fix everything that was broken. But it also meant keeping these Barbies, putting myself in danger, becoming part of something huge and scary and deadly. If you don't help, Robert said quietly, I'll have to take them, and I can't guarantee they'll survive the night. The baby without the birthmark opened his eyes, just for a second. He looked right at me with those dark brown eyes, his father's eyes, and something inside my chest cracked wide open. What are their names? I asked. Robert smiled, sad but real. Aaron didn't have a chance to name them officially. He called them Jamie and Joshua. Jamie has the birthmark. Jamie and Joshua, I repeated, testing the names in my mouth. They felt right. I looked at Robert, at the money, at the Barbies in my arms who were warm and alive and depending on me to keep them that way. Okay, I said, I'll do it. Robert's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you, you're saving their lives. Don't thank me yet, I have no idea what I'm doing. None of us do. He handed me a phone, new, expensive, completely out of place in my hand. Untraceable, my number is programmed in, call if anything happens, anything at all. I'll have someone watching the building, but they won't come close unless you're in danger. How will they know if I'm in danger? Trust me, they'll know. Then Robert Cross left, and I was alone again with $5,000 and 2 Barbies who were now my responsibility. I counted the money 3 times to make sure it was real. Then I hid most of it in the broken floorboard under my mattress, kept $200 in my pocket. That was more cash than I'd held in my entire life. The Barbies needed more diapers, more formula, real baby clothes, a proper place to sleep that wasn't my mattress on the floor. But I couldn't go shopping, not yet, not until I figured out if anyone was watching, if Victor Blake had people in this neighborhood looking for his missing nephews. So I stayed inside, fed the Barbies, changed them, walked back and forth across my tiny apartment with them in my arms because that seemed to calm them down when they cried. And they cried a lot. By the second day, I was exhausted. My arms ached, my head pounded. I hadn't slept more than an hour at a time, but every time I looked at Jamie and Joshua, every time I saw their little faces and heard their sounds, something fierce and protective rose up inside me. These were my Barbies now. Not legally, not really, but in every way that mattered. On the third day, I risked going out. I wrapped both Barbies in the yellow blanket and took the bus to a store in Pilsen where nobody knew me. Bought more supplies, better bottles, soft blankets, tiny socks that were so small they made my throat tight. The woman at the register smiled at me. Your boys are beautiful. I didn't correct her, just smiled back and said thank you. On the bus ride home, I felt eyes on me, kept looking over my shoulder, kept expecting someone to jump out and take Jamie and Joshua away. But nothing happened. We made it back safely. That night I sat on the floor with both Barbies sleeping on my mattress, and I let myself imagine a different life. One where I wasn't hungry and scared. One where I had a real home with real furniture and windows that didn't let in cold air. One where Jamie and Joshua were really mine and nobody could take them away. It was a dangerous dream, the kind that could break you when reality came back. Reality came back the next morning when Robert knocked on my door. I let him in. He looked worse than before, tired, worried, older somehow. We have a problem, he said. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Victor knows someone took the twins. He's offering $500,000 for information. People in this neighborhood talk. It's only a matter of time before someone remembers seeing you with 2 Barbies. So what do? We move you tonight somewhere safe, somewhere Victor can't reach. I looked at my apartment, at everything I'd ever owned, at the life I'd built from nothing. I can't just disappear. You have to. It's the only way to keep them alive. Jamie started crying. I picked him up automatically, held him against my shoulder, rubbed his back the way I'd learned he liked. Where would we go? I have a safe house, up in Wisconsin, near the border, remote, secure. You'll have everything you need. For how long? Until Victor is arrested, until the legal team can sort out custody and inheritance, until these boys are safe. And then what? You take them away, give them to some rich family who doesn't care. Robert's face softened. Then we figure it out together. I didn't believe him. Rich people always took care of their own. Poor girls like me didn't get happy endings. We got used and forgotten. But I didn't have a choice. Okay, I said again, when do we leave? Midnight, pack light, bring only what matters. What mattered fit in a plastic bag, 2 changes of clothes, my mama's ring that I'd kept hidden for 13 years, a photo of me and my best friend from 4th grade before she moved away to California. That was my whole life. At midnight, Robert came back with another man. Big, quiet. He didn't say his name, just helped carry the Barbies down the stairs while I followed with my plastic bag and the diaper bag Robert had bought. A black car waited outside, expensive, the kind that stood out in this neighborhood like a diamond in dirt. Get in the back, Robert said. Stay low, don't look out the windows. I climbed in with Jamie and Joshua. The seats were leather, soft. The car smelled like money. We drove for hours, north out of Chicago, through suburbs, past Waukegan, into darkness and trees and roads with no streetlights. The Barbies slept the whole time, like they knew they were safe, like they trusted me completely. The safe house was actually a cabin, small but nice, real furniture, running water, heat that worked, a kitchen with food in the refrigerator, 2 bedrooms, locks on the doors. You'll be comfortable here, Robert said. I'll check in every few days. The phone works. Call if you need anything. How long? I asked again. I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more. Then he left, and I was alone in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, with 2 Barbies and $5,000, and a future I couldn't predict. Days turned into weeks. I learned how to be a mother, how to tell when Jamie was hungry versus tired, how Joshua liked to be rocked gently while Jamie preferred bouncing, how they smiled at different things, Jamie at faces, Joshua at lights. They grew, got bigger, stronger, more alert. I grew too, got less scared, more confident, started to believe maybe I could do this, maybe I could keep them safe and happy. Robert visited once a week, brought supplies, money, news. The news was never good. Victor Blake was everywhere, talking to the media from his Houston office about his missing nephews, offering rewards, playing the concerned uncle who just wanted his family back together. He'd even gone on the news in Los Angeles and San Francisco, spreading the story nationwide. The police investigation into Aaron's death was going nowhere. No suspects, no leads, just another unsolved murder in a dangerous Chicago neighborhood. Sarah Blake's will left everything to her sons, but without proof they were alive, without official custody, the estate was frozen. Victor was fighting for control in court, winning. We need more time, Robert kept saying. But time was running out. On week 6, everything changed. I was feeding Jamie when the phone Robert gave me started ringing, not his ringtone, a different one, urgent, loud. I answered, hello. Run, Robert's voice was sharp, panicked. They found you, Victor's people are coming, you have maybe 5 minutes, grab the boys and run. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. Where do I go? Into the woods. There's a trail behind the cabin. Follow it north for 2 miles. You'll find a road. I'll meet you there. I don't know which way is north. Away from the sun. Go now. The line went dead. I grabbed Jamie, grabbed Joshua, threw bottles and diapers into a backpack with shaking hands, put on my coat, put tiny coats on them that Robert had bought. Then I heard it. Car engines coming fast. I ran out the back door, into the trees. Branches hit my face. Roots tried to trip me. The Barbies started crying, loud, scared cries that would lead anyone straight to us. SHH, I begged them. Please, Barbies, please be quiet. But they couldn't. They didn't understand danger, didn't understand death. Behind me I heard shouting, doors slamming, men's voices. Find them. Check the woods. They can't have gone far. I ran harder, my lungs burned, my legs screamed. Jamie and Joshua bounced in my arms, crying louder. The trail Robert mentioned appeared between the trees. Narrow, rough, but it led away from the voices. I followed it. For 2 miles I ran, fell twice, got back up, kept going, because stopping meant dying, meant these Barbies dying. The road appeared suddenly, empty, quiet. No Robert. I stood there, gasping for air, holding 2 screaming Barbies, and I realized he wasn't coming. Either he couldn't, or he wouldn't. I was alone. A car appeared, old, rusty, Wisconsin plates, driven by a woman who looked about 70. I stepped into the road, desperate, crazy. She stopped, rolled down her window, looked at me like I was a ghost. Please, I begged, please help us. Someone's trying to kill these Barbies, please. The woman stared, then she unlocked her doors. Get in. I didn't question it, just climbed into the back seat with Jamie and Joshua. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know, anywhere, just drive. She drove. For 3 hours, she drove south while I held the Barbies and cried, and tried to figure out what to do next. Finally, she stopped at a motel outside Rockford. Small, cheap, the kind that didn't ask questions. Wait here, she said. She went inside, came back with a key. Room 12, it's paid for 3 nights. There's a bus station 2 blocks away. Catch the morning bus to wherever you need to go. She pressed money into my hand. For tickets, for food, for those Barbies. Why are you helping me? The woman smiled, sad but warm, because someone helped me once when I had nothing, and because those boys deserve to live. She drove away before I could thank her properly. Room 12 was small but clean. I fed the Barbies, changed them, put them to sleep on the bed surrounded by pillows. Then I called Robert. No answer. I called again. Nothing. Fear crawled up my spine. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. I searched the news on my phone. Nothing about Aaron Blake. Nothing about Victor Blake. Nothing. Then I searched Robert Cross. My blood turned to ice. Body found in Chicago's Lincoln Park. Identified as Robert Cross, 47, head of security for Blake Industries. He was dead. Robert was dead. I read the article 3 times, hoping I was wrong, hoping it was a mistake. But it wasn't. Robert Cross had been found yesterday morning, shot twice in the chest, same as Aaron. Victor had killed him, I knew it, everyone knew it, but nobody could prove it. And now I was alone for real, no help, no backup, no one who knew where I was or that Jamie and Joshua were alive. I could go to the police, tell them everything, hope they'd believe me, hope they'd protect us. Or I could run, disappear completely, raise these boys as my own and never look back. Both choices were dangerous. Both choices could get us killed. I looked at Jamie and Joshua sleeping peacefully, innocent, beautiful, alive because of me. And I made my choice. Morning came, I dressed the Barbies in clean clothes, fed them, held them close. Then I walked to the bus station and bought 3 tickets to San Antonio, Texas. Far away, different state, new start. Nobody would think to look for us in Victor's own territory. The bus was crowded, smelled like old seats and other people's lunches. We sat in the back. I kept my head down, didn't talk to anyone. Jamie and Joshua were good. They slept most of the trip through Illinois, through Missouri, through Oklahoma. When they cried, I fed them. Other passengers smiled at us, said the Barbies were cute, asked their names. I told them Jamie and Joshua, told them I was their mother. It felt true. San Antonio was hot even in December, different from Chicago, different from everything I knew. I found a shelter that took women with children on the east side. The woman in charge looked at me with knowing eyes. Running from someone, she asked. Yes. Dangerous. Very. We can hide you for a while until you figure out what's next. The shelter was crowded, loud, smelled like too many people in too small a space, but it was safe. Nobody asked questions. Nobody cared who I was or where I came from. I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant on Commerce Street, minimum wage, night shift. The shelter watched Jamie and Joshua while I worked. I saved every dollar, planned for the day when we could get our own place. Months passed, the Barbies grew, started sitting up, started eating solid food, started laughing. Their laughs were magic. I'd almost forgotten about Aaron Blake, about Victor Blake, about the danger we'd left behind. Then one day, I saw it. A news story, Texas billionaire Victor Blake arrested for murder. My hands shook as I read. The FBI had been investigating Blake Industries, found evidence of fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. They'd raided his Houston office and found everything. And when they dug deeper, they found proof that Victor Blake had ordered his brother's murder, Robert Cross's murder. 3 other murders connected to the company across Texas, Illinois, and California. He was going to prison for life, no parole. It was over. We were safe. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. Relief and grief and something else I couldn't name crashed over me all at once. The next day, a lawyer found me at the shelter, professional, kind female. My name is Karen Bell, she said. I represent the Blake estate. I've been looking for you for 6 months, searched from Chicago to Florida to California, finally found you here. I almost ran, almost grabbed Jamie and Joshua and disappeared again. But she held up her hands. I'm not here to take them away. I'm here to thank you and to help. Help how? Aaron Blake's will specified that his sons should be raised by someone who loved them, someone who put their safety above everything else, someone who proved they'd do anything to keep them alive. Karen smiled. Someone exactly like you. I didn't believe it. His will said that. Not in those exact words, but yes. Aaron wanted his sons to have a real parent, not just money, not just a name, real love. So what does that mean? Karen pulled out papers, legal documents, official looking. It means you have a choice. You can sign these papers and become Jamie and Joshua's legal guardian, their mother in every sense. The estate will provide financial support, college funds, medical care, everything, but they'll be yours, your sons. What's the catch? No catch, just that you'll raise them with the love you've already shown them, that you'll tell them about their father when they're old enough to understand, that you'll keep their Blake name as part of their identity. I looked at Jamie and Joshua playing on the floor, 10 months old now, happy, healthy, alive because I'd found their dying father in an alley on the south side of Chicago and couldn't walk away. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course, but I should tell you, the estate has also set aside money for you, $2 million. For everything you've done, everything you've sacrificed, it's yours regardless of what you choose. $2 million. I'd found a dying man with $2 in my pocket, and now I had $2 million. It didn't feel real. I don't want the money, I said quietly. I didn't do this for money. I know, that's exactly why you deserve it. Karen left the papers with me. I read them that night while the Barbies slept, read them 10 times to make sure I understood. It was real, all of it. I could keep my boys, legally, forever. I signed the papers the next morning. 3 years later, I'm standing in a real house in Austin, Texas. Not an apartment, not a shelter. A house with a yard where Jamie and Joshua run and play and laugh. They're 3.5 now, talking, running, full of questions and energy and life. They call me Mama because that's what I am. Sometimes I think about that night, the blood on South Clark Street, the fear, the moment I chose to run toward danger instead of away. If I'd walked past that alley in Chicago, if I'd ignored the crying, if I'd been too scared to stop, Jamie and Joshua would be dead. And I would still be hungry, still alone, still invisible. But I stopped, I looked, I cared. And it changed everything. The Blake name comes with complications. Lawyers, trust funds, media attention when Victor Blake's trial is in the news, stories about the Houston office shutting down, the Los Angeles branch restructuring. But Karen handles all that, shields us, protects our privacy. I'm working now, going to school at Austin Community College, studying to be a social worker. I want to help other people who are where I was, hungry, scared, invisible. I want to be someone who stops, who looks, who cares. Jamie and Joshua know bits of their story, age-appropriate versions. They know their first daddy loved them so much he saved them with his last breath, that he wanted them to be happy and safe. They know I found them when they needed me most. Someday I'll tell them everything, about Aaron Blake, about that yellow blanket soaked with blood, about running through Wisconsin woods with them in my arms, about the bus ride from Illinois to Texas. But not yet. Right now they're just my boys, my whole heart living outside my body. I tuck them into bed every night in their room with the blue walls and the stars on the ceiling, read them stories, sing them songs. And every single night, I whisper the same thing. You saved me too. Because they did. I found them in that alley on the south side of Chicago, but they found me first, found the part of me that was brave and strong and capable of more than survival. They made me a mother, a fighter, someone worth something. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure they know they're loved, safe, wanted. No matter what the world throws at us. No matter what comes next. We're a family, me and my boys. And nothing, not money, not danger, not the whole Blake empire, can change that. I found him shot and holding his twins in a dark alley. I didn't know he was a billionaire. I didn't know I was saving the heirs to a fortune. I just knew 2 Barbies needed someone to care. And I was hungry enough, broken enough, desperate enough to believe that caring mattered. It did. It changed everything. Dear friend, what you just saw is only a piece of the bigger story. In the next video, a twist no one saw coming will be revealed. Make sure you're here for it. I'd love to hear what you would have done in this situation. Drop your thoughts below. I read every single comment. Thanks so much for watching. Show some love by liking, subscribing, and sharing this with someone who needs to see it.